Oh my god, it's working. I can't believe it.
Yes,
Man
it
alive,
is.
that was effing hard work. Welcome back.
Welcome.
Here
Yeah,
we
good to
are.
see you, man.
Well, not you, I'm talking to our audience of 3. But yeah, hey, welcome back, guys. We're here, man. This is a news thing. We got a restream now. We're not messing about with that flipping shit. Silly old StreamYard. So bit of teething problems, couldn't get out to all the channels, but that's working pretty well now. I just have to fiddle a little bit and set everything up as it was before. But yeah, how's it going, Future Shock? How you doing, bro?
Yeah, man, I'm good. Having a good weekend. It's all going well. Finished loads of stuff. It's been a very productive weekend so far. How about yourself?
Yeah, I've been fiddling around with this stuff all bloody weekend and made that intro video you watched. You saw? What did you think of that? My tired ego needs some stoking. This AI stuff, I'm really getting into the AI video creation these days. What about you? I think you are too, right?
I mean, like we were before, I mean, you did a good job to be honest with you in terms of keeping it vaguely consistent because bloody doing things with AI movie-wise, which involve fantastical stuff, like we were saying before, which involve things like, I don't know, being in spaceships, all that, is to really struggle with. Hopefully, well, but for now, that I get it, it's real pain.
Yeah, I don't know if your microphone's all right. It's not coming over too well here, but F it off. We'll just crack on. Yeah. So listen, we were talking the other day, weren't we?
Oh, hang on. No. It's the wrong mic. But it's better now.
I don't know if it works, bro. It's better. Basically, just get a mic that works. This is a different. Try this. We'll see what happens. All right. Yeah. Can't do any better. Can't do any better than your best, can you? Come on in.
On my
crack on.
My new, so it wasn't on my new mic before.
That might help. Yeah. So, all right, bro. Yeah, you got a new confuser as well, right? You ditched the steam powered thing you had to keep in the fridge to cool down. Remember that? You had a really janky old computer, overheated.
Yeah, that horrendous.
How did you actually cool it down? You used to use some sort of
with several fans, like a very integrated fan system.
Wet towel as well.
Even that didn't work, to be honest with you.
All right, bro.
Yeah. It was too far gone to be replaced. It was just a joke.
All right, I'm going to try and watch your idea was to you have a live camera so I can see your face and I can see when you stop talking and I can talk, because the thing is we've been clashing talking over, but it doesn't really matter, does it? I mean, at the end of the day, the world's going to end in 2029, so it doesn't matter much, does it? We've only
That's what we're told. That's what we're thinking.
Well, it ain't what we're told, bro, but it could be what's going to happen. But we're going to get onto that later, aren't we? We're going to get onto that.
That's what the science is suggesting. Put it that way.
Well, science ain't suggesting the world's going to end, but I am suggesting the world's going to end. Because why not? You might as well. You might as well live for today. Anyway, listen, this stream is in aid of Rob Grant, isn't it? Who recently passed. You want to tell us who Rob Grant is? Their Future Shock.
Well, one of the co-creators, writers, producers of the great Red Dwarf, the best ever British sci-fi comedy, the best ever British comedy.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Starting in the mid-80s, rolling through. I kind of love stuff, kind of more on the first earlier seasons, but it spans like multiple decades now. And yeah, unfortunately, he passed away a few weeks ago now. It was sad. Yeah, I typed away as soon as I found it out. I was like, I sent it over to you and stuff. Someone put it on Facebook. And yeah, so I had to send it over to you. Yeah, it's sad, man. But I mean, like, we give thanks to him for bringing such a wonderful series.
Yeah, it was literally was. So it was, yeah, man. It was one of them body blows, right? I mean, when you told me, got it from you by text, by WhatsApp message, and it was like when Rick Mail died, right? It was like he felt a rug being pulled from under. He's like, what? No. I mean, listen, we are very well. I mean, I'm a spiritual person. You might say you're more your cosmic consciousness or whatever. But we both believe in the eternal whatever. eternal conscious continues and everything,
Yeah.
because it's word energy, right? So we're electromagnetic energy, and you can't destroy electromagnetic energy. So we go on. But it's like when they go, it's like, shit. It's like the Earth got a lot less fucking cool. It's like, we've lost one of the good ones. It's like, we're left with fucking Starmer and them lot. One by one, the good people fucking, walk off the stage, don't they? And for me, Rob Grant, it's a bad one, because I always was hoping they'd work together again on a new series of Red Dwarf, and we'd have them both, because Rob Grant pulled out, I think, on series 6, didn't he? And I think it was Doug on his own. The thing is, I think we had that conversation, didn't we, at the time, that the ultimate creative partnerships are fueled on like mutual goals, but also like correcting people and telling, like Lennon and McCartney. I mean, when in the Beatles, McCartney was just on his own and making so many shit records because Lennon wasn't there to tell him it was shit, and equally Lennon was just up his own arse and McCartney wasn't there to bring him down to earth. So I think the best creations are often two people, telling each other what will work and what won't work. And I think in the case of Doug Naylor on his own, those Red Dwarfs were not the fucking best. I can't really watch them, to be honest with you. If I'm honest with you, after series 7, I don't really watch them at all. I like the Back to Earth, and that I liked a few of those seasons they made, but
it was sporadic.
It was very patchy, But when it was both of them, Rob Grant and Naylor, it was just brilliant. It was just like really well written. They were really,
and especially very early seasons. I mean, like you've alluded to before, the kind of the more claustrophobic nature of the first couple of seasons is where the real good stuff lies. I mean, obviously there was still many decent episodes after the first 2 seasons, but that kind of quite exclusive those characters before it got into all the different aliens and all the other different kind of characters that would come in, and obviously with the very first episode having the crew. So those were the best ones, I think, plus some from maybe like 3 and 4. It gets a bit patchy after that as well. So yeah, but the sort of vastness and the vast loneliness of it and how they're trying to fill the time in those first couple of seasons was just, and I think like it was sharper. I mean, it was quite sharp anyway, for humor-wise, throughout the seasons, for up until, like you say, maybe 6 or 7. But yeah, the humor of the first few seasons, especially, that's like so.
All right, I don't know what's going on with our internet, but we may be having trouble with the stream. I will have to see how it goes on playback, won't we? Because anyway, because I mean, I agree with you actually that for me the first 2 seasons were the best. In particular, the first season, which I've just been rewatching, is my favorite season. But a lot of people, they like the later seasons of Red Dwarf because it gets more science fiction. It fulfills more the criteria of what you expect. Like you expect a monster every week, and you expect like sort of magic thingamajig technology, which it gets late in the later seasons. But then I mean, for my part, I like the first 2 seasons. And I think those first 2 seasons are really good because it sort of, you might say, it subverts the science fiction genre. You know what I mean by that? It's like science fiction is like Star Trek, really, isn't it? It sort of originates from there. Oh, hang on, you've dropped out. Hang on, you're back again. Anyway, yeah. And it's like, there's a weekly monster. There's a riddle. There's a conundrum, and from season 3 onwards, Red Dwarf follows that pattern, doesn't it? Because I suppose it's quite easy to write that, but then the first 2 seasons they do something really different. They put, obviously, if we know the story. The last human being in space, his only companion is a creature evolved from his pet cat and a hologram, and it's the ultimate. It's that wonderful feeling. I mean, for me, it's a wonder. I love it because I would love that. I'd actually love to be a Red Dwarf, just bumming through space, right?
We've said this before. There's a weird kind of we said this a few times. Even just not on podcasts, like when we've just been chatting, having a drink and whatnot. There's just this weird kind of appeal to it that it's a little bit difficult to explain to a person, really, when you think about the context that we are describing. Like you said, last human alive, millions of miles of space. How is that appealing? Objectively, but there's something about it, isn't there? It's hard to kind of like, it's got a je ne sais quoi about it. It's hard to kind of describe it specifically.
Okay,
Did you
I've
just
just
drop
dropped
out?
out. I dropped out. I've dropped back in. I'm going to see if that's any better because I think we've been having some connection problems, but this might be a little bit better now. So yeah, I mean, it's totally appealing to me. I mean, a lot of people though they like, you know, this question of like personality. Some people like to be with people. Some people can't handle loneliness. I mean, must be some people who for whom feeling of being on Red Dwarf in those first 2 seasons would be hell. But I mean, I'd actually love it. I think, right?
Oh, well, I agree. I agree. I mean, like, I think it depends, like, on your upbringing a lot of the time, doesn't it? I mean, for me, I was an only child, so I mean, I'm used to being on my own a lot, so it's not such a daunting idea. But I guess if you're somebody who's grown up with a big family with lots of brothers and sisters and stuff, or even just a couple, yeah, I mean, yes, it's not going to seem so appealing, right? So, something to do with that. But yeah, also like we're sci-fi heads as well. Like we love our universe stuff, we love our astrophysics stuff, and yeah, the idea of being up out there and just floating around and maybe like going to some moons here and there and fishing on moons is like that sounds like a damn good time. To be fair,
So yeah, we're going to start looking at this. I've only found out about this recently. Red Dwarf Titan. Oh, by the way, I mean, if there's anyone out there who doesn't like Red Dwarf, we are going to talk about other things, but we are going to have a little about this. I think mostly for our own entertainment, really. Future Shock, because I think
yeah, because we want to do this tribute. We want to do a little tribute to him.
Yeah. So yeah, this is interesting. This was due to be. This quite sort of in compounds of tragedy, you might say. I don't know, but this was due to be released in July 2026. It's a new novel written by Rob Grant, and it's a prequel to Red Dwarf. And I've got this power to zoom in now. Oh no, I don't. It doesn't work now. Can you read that?
Yeah, it's absolutely fine. Yeah.
All right, so it's not scrolling now. My fingers aren't working, or the screen isn't working. Okay, so I'll just flip over here. Tell me if this is scrolling. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's scrolling. Yeah.
All right, that's all right. Do it like this then. So yeah, there's a synopsis of the This is the synopsis. This is the idea of the novel, which is written. And tragically, maybe he got this out before he died. So that's something, isn't it? So before the accident that wipes out the crew, the mining ship Red Dwarf is in orbit around Titan. The bulk of the ship's complement is heading down for shore leave, all with different intentions. Strangely reluctant hen party, a relaxing cheaty golfing break, a terminally boring cultural odyssey, a marathon drinking, a fighting binge. So anyway, we've got Dave, Lister, and Rimmer, both, of course, third and second check technicians, respectively, chicken soup vendor repairers. So Rimmer apparently is in search of some illicit exam cheating tech. Lister plans to acquire a cat to smuggle back on board. It's a weird sort of. I don't know if you ever read the novels, the Red Dwarf novels that were written, but they sort of rewrite the law, because in the law that Lister actually deliberately gets the cat in order that he will be sent back to Earth, because he only ended up on Maru. He ended up in space because he got drunk, and he ended up there by accident. He doesn't even know how he got there. So he was intending to get back to Earth, and so I'm not sure about the novels. I did read them a long time ago when I was young, but I think they mess with the law too much. So anyway, this apparently he acquires the cat as part of a plan to get back to Earth. But anyway, the interest, the sort of the peril is the threat. There's apparently a message from the future, and the two feuding crewmen are catapulted into a breakneck race to save reality itself. Okay, so I mean it could be good, but that's it.
Basically kind of an expanded sort of prequel to the series, because obviously the first episode is about him smuggling the cat on board, isn't it? So I guess they're just doing a prequel to that and then just sort of expanding it out a little bit, or at least including those little bits in anyway that tie in with the first episode ever.
All right, well, let's crack on with it and talk about the first episode ever, because Red Dwarf episode 1, season 1, starts with the end, as you say.
Mm-hmm.
I remember as a kid when I was watching that, I thought that was like really cool and kind of mind bending, I thought, what's going on? How can it be the end? It's only the first. I've never seen this before, and it kind of like works its way backwards. It's quite funny. So yeah, what do you think about the first? We go through the first episode. What are your thoughts about the first episode?
Well, first of all, it has like one of the classic quotes, isn't it? The "Everybody's dead, Dave" quote. I mean, like you can't go wrong with that, can you? Like, if you want to talk about quintessential British humor, it's like right there, just the way that's delivered, the way he repeatedly tells him in different ways, the way right at the end of it, he's like, "Oh, I shouldn't have let him out now." It's just like, wish I hadn't let him out, wasn't it? It's just like classic British kind of view of humor.
So yeah. I mean,
you know,
what about the beginning? What about how it starts? Because this is the first episode, so it doesn't start with the subsequent episodes. They have that kind of SOS message from Holly, the ship's computer, don't they? But this just goes straight into figure. We don't know who it is. He's painting the exterior of the ship, and we get this exterior shot of him painting the ship, and that that music, that classical version, that sort of funereal. Is funereal a word? I think funereal is a word. Funereal, classical, somber version of the theme tune. And I've read that in part of the research for this is they wanted to create that Stanley Kubrick 2001 ambience, that kind of the epicness of space, you know, the sort of mysterious isolation of it, which is captured in that classical sort of rendition of the theme tune. Do you think so? You agree?
Definitely.
So yeah, I mean, also, I watched it recently. I've been watching it recently. So yeah, it starts off that, and you don't know what you're in for. It's like a drama, isn't it? You know, when you first started watching. I mean, we didn't know what to make of Red Dwarf really when it first came out. It was like,
I don't even.
Is this a comedy? I mean,
yeah, I can. Yes, I can.
So Chris Barry, I remember I've watched it today. Chris Barry, who plays Rimmer, he's funny because he's the first line. He seems visibly nervous. You know, there's like something. The first line, I think he's saying that he's going to hit Lister over the head with a welding mallet, and there's something about his voice that is like it's like the nerves of, and then it all sort of falls into place. But it just feels that first line from the first episode was literally the first thing they recorded, because their relationship is like only just that. They begin by squabbling with each other over the correct appliance to use to unclog the chicken soup nozzle. Right, that's a 14F. This is a 14B. Do you remember that?
That's it. It's like go on. Sorry, what were you going?
Well, yeah, I mean, so we start with Lister, and he's singing that tune, isn't he? You say I've been a tire, and you say I've been around, and all that. And he's carefree, right? So immediately we introduce the characters, and we've got Rimmer, who's uptight, who, even though Lister was right about which chicken nozzle unclogger, he wouldn't have it. Yeah, I mean, I love the level of detail, and immediately, right, that they've got a special. I mean, they're both just straws he holds up in there. They're both the same, but basically the level of detail of it, that there's a 14B and there's a 14F, and each nozzle is a different width, and you know what I mean? It's the care that's been put into it, into the It's not just the sets, but the lore is being built up from as soon as you start watching, right? The universe creation, right? The world building, right?
About the in this, because I watched the episode yesterday, actually. And I think it was that episode, because I watched a couple of episodes yesterday. So, but it was either one or two. Anyway, I think it is the first one. I noticed this with Lister as well. I noticed this with Craig Charles a couple of messes them up, but he kind of met the line out for them to fuck it, we won't do a retake. But yeah, there just seemed there was a couple of occasions. There's one where they're in their headquarters, when they're in their bedroom sort of thing, and he sits down next to Rimmer. And I can't remember what he says, but I remember just hearing the way he delivered it. He messes up at the start, but kind of rescues it, and they keep it in. So,
which line was that?
I can't remember. I should have got it. Sorry, but like
I think the first line was messed up, where he threatened to, if he didn't stop singing, he'd hit him over the head with a welding mallet. And it seems like the way he delivers a line, it just sort of fades away, and it's not delivered with enough conviction. And I think that was like a nervous thing from Barry, maybe.
I did think the same, though. That was sort of my analysis of it when I thought about it. I was like, well, this is like the first episode. This is brand new to these guys.
Yeah.
A brand new actor. I presume. I think they were.
Barry, he had a lot of experience as a writer.
Right.
Oh no, as a not a writer. Spitting Image and doing the voices, like Ronald Reagan from Spitting Image and all those. It was mostly Chris Barry. So he had probably not any TV experience with showing his face, but experience doing the voices on Spitting Image and other things. Oh, writing. Yeah, he was a writer for Jasper Carrot. And was he? No, that was Grant and Naylor. They were writers for Jasper Carrot. But Barry's been doing a few things, doing voices. But as for appearances, may have been his first appearance. Of course, he was on the radio version of. He was on Cliche and Son of Cliche, which was Naylor's and Grant's radio show, wasn't it? The comedy thing. Do you hear about? You know about that? Dave Hollins, Space Cadet. You've heard about that because I sent you that thing. You there, bro? Are you gone? Oh, we lost him, have we? Oh well. All right. What happened? Oh, hang on. Are we still alive?
Are
you still alive, bro?
I am. What happened to you?
I think I'm still here. Am I still here?
But yeah, so it was just saying, "Oops, connection lost" for me. But then it's
yeah. All right. You seem to be losing you a little bit, bro. I don't know what's going on with your internet connection, but
it's perfectly fine. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see how it goes. Yeah. All right. So where were we? We were where were we? Yeah, talking about Cliche and Son of Cliche. That was Doug Naylor's and Rob Grant's first. It was the first incarnation of ideas that went on to become Red Dwarf. You heard about that?
Yeah, I've heard the title. I don't know too much about it. I've definitely heard it though. Yeah.
Right. I think you've heard of Dave Hollins.
And Dave Hollins, Space Cadet. Yeah.
Yeah, and I sent you a thing you were going to use in a drum and bass track way back. That was ages ago as well.
Yeah. I think I can't remember what I did with that. I do so many tracks and have so many samples, I just forget. I don't think it ever came to anything, or I didn't finish it.
I think it was something like it was Chris Barry saying welcome to the weird dimension or something like that, and it was Dave Hollins, Space Cadet, and in the first episode on Son of Cliche, he's actually killed because he lands on the planet you're not supposed to land on, and part of the greeting ritual of the alien is to remove heads for an hour. But unfortunately, because he's a human, he can't survive with his head removed. But it's part of the greetings culture of these aliens. So yeah. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, Dave Hollins, Space Cadet. Yeah. All right, got anything you want to say? I'm just going to take a little breather.
Okay, I mean, yeah, like so out of this, do you want to go through each episode, or do you want to sort of like talk about this season one as a whole? Because I'm not sure which one. I mean, I think you're convinced which one's your favorite. You'd like the first one, isn't it? You'd say the first episode.
No, I'm not. No, bro. It's the first season is my favorite.
The first season.
As to which episode is the best, we can discuss that. But I've got different feelings about which episodes are better in different ways.
I mean, the thing is, I don't even know if I've got a favorite episode at all, to be honest with you. This is a really difficult one. That's also partly because I haven't really thought about it too much. I can't lie. I haven't really thought about what would it would be such a difficult decision to pick a number one.
Yeah, well, listen, you don't have to. There's no reason you should have to. I mean, we're kind of culturally obsessed with lists and things and bests and worst, but there's no reason for you to have the best one, right? I've got one that I think is the best written from the first season. It's the best, sort of the tightest, most amazing sort of script. And it's Future Echoes.
Future Echoes, literally, I was going to say that. Yeah.
Oh, you were going to say that too. I think that moment when Lister encounters Rimmer, who's from the future, as a Future Echo, is one of the most brilliant pieces of writing in any television program. But we can go through each episode one by one, or because it might give us some structure. Otherwise, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, is it the what? So basically, the Future Echoes one, that's the one where they have the one where they're trying to explain it to each other, and the explanations are kind of like so kind of complicated. It's the what? Isn't it the one where
Second episode.
it's the what is that's the one where Rimmer sees himself, isn't it? Like appearing in
No,
the
mate. No, mate. That's stasis leak.
oh, that's stasis leak, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, listen, we'll go through episode 1. Okay. So, like, where were we? We were saying, well, I was amazed by the level of detail, the color of the ship. You know, the sort of the fact that it's this gray color. It's not flashy. It's not science fiction. It's not what you expect, is it? The military gray color. Yeah. And
Yeah,
the
I mean,
overall sort of the sort of you know, the set designs and things. Everything is. I think another thing is, you notice when there's those scenes in the officers' mess or the mess, it's smoky. It's like really weird, isn't it? I don't know if you noticed, but there seems to be smoke rising from everywhere.
oh yeah, it's always had that, isn't it? Like when they're wandering around the ship, there's always smoke rising everywhere. I think because I don't know if I was expecting it to be such a sort of like ostentatious ship, because it's kind of a mining ship, isn't it? So it's supposed to be kind of a fairly sort of mundane ship. It's not like a a Starship Enterprise type ship that's sort of like flying around the galaxies and stuff. So
Well, they were going for the Dark Star, John Carpenter's first film he made as a student. The movie Dark Star is a really fantastic, low budget, but really grungy spaceship that goes around the galaxy, destroying planets that are going to destroying planets that will interfere with future human colonizations, that will have life forms that will develop that might impede human development in that solar system. So they just destroy the planets. It's just fantastic. It's such a great film, man. You gotta watch Dark Star. That was the atmosphere. That was the ambience they were going for. So yeah, everything's grey. Everything's like the smoke. It's like, it's like the spaceship's like, where's the smoke coming from, right? It's like, but they're all sort of carrying on regardless, right? There's the scene
I was going to say
in
that
the
no one's
mess,
bothered.
in the offices, in the mess hall, where they're all, hanging out, or when George McIntyre comes back as a hologram, they're all gathered there to celebrate his
He gives
funeral,
a
right?
speech, yeah. They all love
Yeah.
him, despite the fact that his speech isn't really that funny. But it's like they all love him, don't they? That's
Well,
the
it's
kind
one of those things, isn't it? You have to, because it's
you
it's
had
like
to
you
be.
humor him.
Yeah, exactly. They're kind of like humoring him, sort of thing. But yeah,
So hang on. Yeah, so what I was gonna say, that's the thing, because of course everyone's destroyed, everyone's killed in a radiation leak of cadmium-2, and it was Rimmer's job to secure the drive plate. And because Lister had been put into stasis because he brought a cat on board, Frankenstein from Titan, and so that's so that all the crew are wiped out in the radiation leak. It's like that kind of. I like the flying by their, on the seat of their pants. They're running on fumes. Like it's so dangerous that, a random accident, an unsecured drive plate wipes everyone out.
yeah, it seems a little bit maybe sort of. I mean, if you look at the size of the ship as well, but anyway, I think it kind of like suspend your disbelief with that one for a little bit. I know what you mean, though. It's kind of a bit, would that really, is that likely to be enough? It's kind of a bit unbelievable, but at the same time, fuck
I
it.
don't know, mate. I think it probably is. It kind of is. I think it is believable. I mean, I don't know. Don't you? But we don't have any real life examples of spaceships at the moment. Such
Yeah,
going to
it's
Titan
speculating,
or
really,
whatever.
isn't it?
But
Yeah.
I like the way it's a kind of pessimistic speculating.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
that
it's a
would definitely
comedy,
work
but it
best.
starts with everyone on the ship being killed. It's like, it's weird. It's like, what kind of science fiction is this?
It's about as pessimistic as it gets, and like having like the casting Norman, what's his surname? Sorry, Levitt, isn't it?
Yeah,
Levitt?
no, I tell you, yeah, Norman Lovett. He did this
Love it.
stand-up comedy routine on TV, and he says, "My name's Norman Lovett." People say to me, "I bet you do." And he says, "If I had £1 for every time someone said that, I'd have £6."
There you go.
So that was his that was his his sort of
Well, like an opener in his sets.
yeah, exactly. But he was that character of Holly is kind of what he presented in his stand-up comedy routine.
Oh right, okay, yeah, he brought it through, yeah. No, but he's essential as well. Like having that kind of humor is just like so essential. He's like sort of like the glue that kind of keeps it all together. When the later Holly came along, it just wasn't quite the same, was it? Because it's not the same. They tried to make it a similar kind of humor, didn't they? They tried to make it kind of a bit goofy or whatever. But
I hated Hilly. I hated that.
this is what I'm
I
saying.
didn't
It
like
wasn't
it.
the
It
same.
just didn't work because she was. I didn't believe. Yeah, you're right. She was trying to be goofy, and I just didn't believe it. It was fake. I liked Norman Lovett because you believed the character because
Oh yeah.
he'd been honing that character for years in his stand-up material. I mean, one of his jokes is, I went to secondary school in Clacton-on-Sea, left school with 1 A level. They caught up with me and told me to bring it back. And it's like, and there's stuff where he says he's going around and he's got terrible back pain. And he says, you know, cats and dogs don't have back pain, do they? And they go around on all fours. So I might go around on all fours, go shopping on all fours. But the problem is you have to wear shoes on your hands, and that's ridiculous.
Yeah, man, he was just essential. Like you couldn't have. The thing is, I suppose for the woman who had to follow it, it's like it's a hard act to follow. But at the same time, they could have. I think they could have worked it a bit better, to be honest with you. But you know, we appreciate the two. Was it 2 seasons? Was it the first 2 seasons Norman did? Then it was her.
Yeah, because he changed into Hilly at the end of because of there was White Hole, wasn't there? The last episode of season 2. Where he falls in love with Hilly, from the other universe.
Yeah,
but he didn't come back. I think he was because he didn't feel he was getting paid enough, perhaps, or something like that, which is a bit of a shame. Or such.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
it. I heard that. Yeah, he wasn't getting. Well, that seemed crazy. I mean, maybe that's one of those things where it's like because he had less lines. I don't know.
Well, that's funny you mention that because the funny thing is about watching these shows, right? When you're watching them, Holly's part of the ship, and you think, oh, Holly's there, and then he appears and does his thing, and Holly's always present. But when you look at it and you think about how many lines he's recorded maybe 3-4 lines, or a few lines. Like he's done 3 minutes, 4 minutes, or really less than that, maybe 30 seconds or a minute, and that's all he's done. And you would think he's come in for an afternoon. I mean, initially, Holly was just going to be a voiceover. He wasn't going to be physically apparent. He was only, and then he decided that he wanted to be. I believe he wanted to be seen, and it's so much because he's so much better for his physical appearance, right?
Of course it is, yeah.
But then when you think about it in terms of how much work he's getting from Red Dwarf, he's only doing a few lines. He's getting like a few 30 a minute or 2 of work from one episode. But it's the weird thing, and you notice that with all these shows, is that his presence is there throughout the episode in a strange way because he's part of the ship. But when you look at it in terms of what he actually produces, it's a tiny amount of work.
They sometimes have him on like TV screens, don't they? When the other characters are wandering around, like he'll be in the background. He won't necessarily.
Oh yeah, of course, good one. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Or they'll have him like when they. Yeah. I know it's not the first season, but it's that one where they go. I can't remember the part of the episode is that they go and play golf and they're wheeling him across a golf course, and stuff like that. Sort of
that's better than life.
That's right. Yeah, that's the one.
And he's also on Thanks for the Memory, that one where they go to the moon and they play rock music, and
that's it. Yeah,
he's boogieing on that moon or something. It's just so yeah. But he's part of it, and it's kind of sad how we as the audience we cherish the characters and it creates the world and we believe in the world. But obviously for them as actors, they probably don't see it that way. I mean, Barry and Craig Charles, they famously never they didn't get along at all, right? You know what I mean?
Well, Barry, I think it was, I don't know if you read so much about it, but as far as I remember when I was reading it, it was a lot to do with the fact that Barry was kind of a little bit jealous of the sort of adulation that Craig Charles was getting for his character. And he was a bit kind of like, he felt that he should get more. He deserved to have a bit more kind of recognition.
Well, Barry.
Yeah, and that he was
that's interesting.
and that he was seen as the kind of like the idiot. Obviously, he is the idiot, but do you know what I mean? He just wasn't happy with that dynamic, and that just
Yeah.
caused tension on set and stuff like that. That's what I've read.
Ah, that's interesting. Also, I heard that Craig Charles and Kat would always they'd go to the Manchester, that famous nightclub,
Oh yeah.
the
Oh, can you
Factory and
imagine?
all that, right? Yeah, it was at its peak in the late 80s, and they would be going there and getting off, partying, shall we say. And Barry
Yeah.
wasn't into that, so he didn't quite approve of that, and there was a that kind of estrangement from there, what they like to get up to,
That must have been crazy times though, to be them two characters and then to be going and
Oh
getting,
man,
man, Jesus
can you
Christ.
imagine how cool
Oh,
that would be?
craziness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they were well appreciated. Well, anyway, yeah, so I'll hold that thought for another
Huh.
time. But yeah, no, what were we saying about? Yeah, so Holly. So yeah, I mean, look, in the June movies, in the second June movie, Zendaya barely says anything. But the thing is, it's like it's an importance thing as well. Like these characters are important to the whole thing, regardless of how many lines that they've got. And so yeah, if he was getting paid significantly less, but also the thing is,
Oh,
I don't know
was
if
he
it,
getting paid? What? Oh, yeah, Holly. Yeah, go on. Yeah.
well, I was just going to finish by
Of
saying, but I
course, yeah.
guess I don't know, like in terms of the contract, I don't know exactly what his specific complaint was. Sorry, because it could have been a pre-made contract before it got successful. So I don't know. Or is it a royalties thing that he had an issue with, or I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
mean, when you do think about it, obviously, Charles and Barry, they've got so many more lines than Holly. But yeah, it might be that. It's just
But
unfortunate, isn't
without
it?
him, it wouldn't be. I mean, it would still be a great show. It would still be a famous show. Don't get me wrong, but he does play a massive role in the kind of classicness of it.
Totally. Well, absolutely. Yeah. So I think I was mentioning to you how some of the material in Red Dwarf seems to have come from Lovett. Because I watched one of his stand-up things on TV, Pajama Rama, 1983,
Yeah.
hosted by Arthur Smith, who later appeared in Red Dwarf, in Backwards. He was the compere. There's actually quite a funny thing. Have you seen that? Do you know Backwards? You know that episode where they go to a backwards Earth?
I have seen it. Yeah. That's a bit later on, is it? Oh, no, is it?
Yeah. No, it's later on. It may
Yeah.
be season 3, but there's a bit where Arthur Smith, is speaking backwards. I mean, he's speaking, but the tape has been.
Yeah.
I mean, we could potentially talk about this later, actually, if we do get onto that. But there is a YouTube video where someone's actually, with technology now, it's very simple, but you can play what he said. You can his backwards speech. You can play it forwards.
Forward. Okay.
And what he says is really funny. Because if you remember that scene, he's jabbing his finger at the backwards brothers because they caused the fight and all that. Do you remember? We'll go on to that. Okay, listen, we're doing season 1. Maybe we'll stick with season 1. Okay, right. Anyway, I wanted to mention how Norman Lovett, if you remember this line, Norman Lovett in this, he says, I smoke, I'm a smoker, but I want to replace smoking with sex. So I want to be a 20-a-day man. But that is, I think Rimmer says that. I believe Rimmer says that later on in one of the seasons. So funny that some of these lines, Norman Lovett, some of the stuff he's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the reality of like creativity sometimes, though, isn't it? Like you kind of borrow from previous things you've done. I mean, I've done that with music production. Borrowed whether it's past drums or synth sounds or stuff like that. So I guess it's a similar kind of idea, isn't it? Like, especially if you've got unused stuff. But yeah, even if it's used, you can still reuse it, recycle it a little bit. So yeah, it's not a surprise to hear that.
So yeah, so where are we? We've got the funny thing is the character of Lister initially, when he's on his own or when he's on the Red Dwarf ship, he seems to be fine. He seems to be cool. But when he's with other people, and this is what happens in the 7th season when all the Red Dwarf crew are reanimated by nanobots, and suddenly the character of Lister gets submerged in everyone else, and he just becomes the bum that he was. You know, in the first episode, if you remember, he gets called to the captain's to the drive bridge to see Captain Hollister because because they suspect he has a pet cat, right? That he got from Titan, and he's all schmoozing around Kachansky, you know, and trying to get her attention. But clearly, I mean, the way Captain Hollister speaks to Lister, he's like a loser. He's like, you know, he's the lowest ranked person on the ship, below even the Scutters.
The thing is, like, Lister benefits a bit though from having Rimmer around, in the sense, because you can tell that Hollister, like anyone in that ship, completely hates Rimmer, and so Lister and his kind of messing around is the sheen is taken off it a little bit, off his mischievousness, especially when it involves Rimmer reporting him for like the 100th time, because Rimmer did what, 247, was it 247 reports he was saying, and he was very proud of it. If you remember that scene where they're saying he has that other officer come round and say that he's reported Lister 247 times for what is it, sort of insulting a superior officer.
Mutiny as well, right?
And mutiny, that was the other one as well. So, and then like you see Rimmer and he's there really proud of it. So you can tell that when he's doing this shtick in front of Hollister, the Hollister just had enough of him, obviously. And then Lister maybe doesn't get punished so badly because Hollister just doesn't want to deal with Rimmer anymore. So that could be to his advantage. But that scene's like proper funny, isn't it? When he's got literally a picture of Lister with the cat. And then, but it just goes to show you that. Sorry, I was just going to say, it just goes to show you, you know, already written into Lister's character was a kind of valiant nature, because obviously he chose to go into stasis, didn't he?
Oh yeah, I mean the funny, yeah, exactly. He's
and
kind of like quietly heroic, isn't he? Exactly. Even Rimmer is kind of heroic. Because one of my theories, not a theory, but I think Rimmer really looks after Lister. There's actually a few moments in season 1 where Rimmer genuinely cares for Lister and is looking out for him, particularly in the one Confidence and Paranoia.
Yeah.
Where even Holly doesn't care about Lister. He doesn't care where he is, the fact that he's got off the ship. He's like, well, because Rimmer's running around, he wants to know what happened to Confidence. Where's he gone? Oh, he's no longer on the ship. Holly doesn't seem to care, but Rimmer actually genuinely cares. And of course, that was the reason he was chosen to accompany Lister, was because he was the one with whom he had the most verbiage, the most conversations, and he would be the one most likely to keep him sane, which is very nice. Because of course Lister wanted Kachansky, right? But that wouldn't necessarily work. You can imagine, you know.
Well, it's kind of potentially maybe though it's a selfish thing from Rimmer, because kind of like you just said, to stop him from going insane. I think Rimmer maybe knows that if he doesn't have that human, because obviously he'd be left with the cat and Holly. So if he doesn't have that like proper human contact, maybe he fears going crazy or something. So he kind of need, as much as he probably doesn't like him that much in real terms, he needs Lister, doesn't he?
Well, it's funny you mention that, because Lister and Rimmer get on better with each other than they do with themselves, because there's that episode Me Squared where Rimmer gets the double hologram. There's two Rimmers sharing a quarter, and they're absolutely going nuts. But the funny thing is, there was one episode that was written, and it's believed that this was the episode that was, it was a script that was used for auditions. Did you know that Alan Rickman initially auditioned as Dave Lister? Alan Rickman.
Yeah, I'd heard that. Yeah.
Interesting, isn't it? Gosh, imagine what that would be like. But the thought was that he would be, as a star, he'd be unlikely to stay on for more than 1 or 2 seasons. That'd be incredible, wouldn't it? Alfred Molina as well, who's a kind of actor who's done bits and bobs. That wouldn't have worked at all. But
yeah, Alan Rickman would have been interesting. I'm not sure how that would have worked. I mean, it's like it just works with Craig Charles being the way he is, isn't it? It just all kind of, it just fits. He was
a performance poet. He was sort of seen. He was like a lively performance poet. That's what he was. How he got.
Yeah, I mean, respectfully to Craig Charles, but like he plays the spaceman character probably better than Rickman could have.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, well, the character would have had to be different, wouldn't it? Under with Alan Rickman, it would have been written around him, I think. But yeah, like what I was saying is that initial script they had was called what was it? Oh, the Body Snatcher, yeah, and it's actually features elements of season 1 and ideas and bits and pieces, but it ends up with Lister having 2 Listers rather than 2 Rimmers. And Lister, it starts with Lister about to fire a flare gun into his own face because he can't live with another Lister, because it ends up being a hologram Lister and himself.
Yeah.
And it's quite funny. So the observation is that they actually get on better with each other than they would themselves. And I mean, it makes you wonder, we all have our own sort of sense of who we are, but would we tolerate our own company if there was 2 of us, right?
I was literally about to say, it raises that question, doesn't it? It raises the interesting question of like, it makes you think, hang on, but if I was in that situation, would I get on with Rob? Would you get on with yours?
I just thought of that today. You know what I mean?
And I was like, no, I literally thought it when I saw it a couple of days ago. So we've had the similar thing, and it's kind of like, I don't know, I don't know, because you need a difference, don't you? That's how it works.
If the familiarity of yourself doubled, would do your head in, perhaps, or it could be the best thing in the world. You just, no, man,
It's just one of those things that on paper sounds like it would be perfect, yet no, in a practical sense, the more I think about it, the more that would be just ridiculous, wouldn't it? Really, you need a kind of clash in some way. It doesn't have to be harsh or whatever, but you can't just be exactly the same as someone. It's just not going to work out. It's just one of those ironies, isn't it? Like, you think that, oh well, no, it's perfectly set up. They're like you. It should be perfect. I doubt it's going to work. I doubt it would work, and it shows that brilliantly in the episode. But did you know that as well? It's a little bit of trivia about that episode. The gazpacho soup story is actually based on an incident that actually happened to Rob Grant and Doug Naylor, but they apparently didn't send the soup back. They apparently kept the soup. So, yeah.
Oh, well, they were expecting it to be warm.
Yeah, I think maybe they went to Spain or something and ordered some gazpacho soup, not realizing
this soup's cold. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's done. It could be done. It could easily be done if you've not heard of it, or you don't know what it is. You could do it. It's possible.
Yeah, there's a thing I was thinking, actually. I'm that Mandela effect. Have you heard of the so-called Mandela effect, right?
Yeah, I can't remember what it is exactly.
It's supposed to be for instance, there's like the Monopoly guy.
Or false memories.
Has a false memory. It had a monocle, but he didn't. And there are little things like that you swear you remember them, and then but in reality they didn't happen. And it's like, is reality being rewritten some way? I mean, I don't know, but I'm sure that when I watched the first season of Red Dwarf, I'm sure that Danny John Jules as the cat was credited as the ship's cat. But that is a weird one. But I'm sure I remember when the credits rolled, Danny John Jules, the ship's cat. But yeah, that's all I can say. But for years I've sworn that, man.
Is that because maybe Holly says it in the intro?
What because Holly would say, he doesn't say the ship's cat, does he? He just says it was a creature that evolved from his pet cat. Right?
I'm sure it says the ship, unless I'm suffering from the Mandela effect.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, it's contagious, right?
I'm sure it says the ship, an entity that evolved from
his pet cat. No, it wasn't a ship's cat, was it? Because it's not supposed to be a cat on the ship, which kind of defeats my belief that I read Ship's Cat. But who knows?
Oh, that's doing my head in. I'm sure he said that.
There you go. This is getting dangerous, this.
But yeah, the Mandela effect, is kind of crazy, isn't it? I'm just Googling it because I'm just kind of curious what it says here. But it's not actually bringing it up, so maybe he doesn't say it. That's fucking weird, man. That's very strange. He
doesn't say it. I can tell you, he doesn't say it.
That's very strange. Very strange. But yeah, so where were we with that? Sorry.
Well, another thing that was mentioned about the ship is that it's kind of like the ship doesn't always work. And there's a moment when he's going to feed Frankenstein when it plays that music. That's when he's been to see Captain Hollister. That's exactly what we got to, right? He's been called to see the captain. He's going to be threatened with going to 18 months in stasis without pay unless he hands over the cat. And then he says, he calls Holly, he says lock, but he has to say it twice. I mean, I love that little detail. Lock, because the ship's not quite fully working.
Yeah,
It makes
yeah,
you
yeah,
wonder
yeah.
if that's part of the reason everyone died, because the ship's just a piece of shit that just doesn't work properly, you know. Obviously, that doesn't come across in later seasons, does it, so much? But in those first 2 seasons, the ship kind of smokes in the mess hall, and you
No,
know,
you're right. I hadn't thought
the
about that
voice
actually.
commands aren't working properly, and you know, the radiation
The
leaks
ship
and
gets more
kills.
efficient as the
Yeah,
seasons progress.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think part of the whole ethos is that the ship is a bit sort of like tin pot. That it's a little bit, it's not in the best shape, sort of thing. So
Well, it's half of the ship is an asteroid as well. It's got an asteroid sort of impregnated into it somehow, hasn't it? Now, is that
yeah,
because they're mining the asteroid, or is it because they had a collision with an asteroid? It's half ship and half asteroid, isn't it?
yeah. It's kind of like, as you say, it's just sort of hung underneath it, isn't it? Yeah, I just kind of assumed that it was because it's a mining ship. It's just carrying that around. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, that would make
It's
sense, I
a bit
suppose.
random,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I mean, that scene with the cat, Frankenstein, that cat is the most reluctant cat I've ever seen on anything. He doesn't want to be there. And he sort of breaks the fourth wall by looking directly at the camera. That they should have
Yeah.
reshot that scene with the cat, because Lister's getting this cat out. It's supposed to be his pet cat. He's taking him to Fiji, but that cat can't stand to be there. It's like so fucking pissed off, and it looks at the camera as if asking the audience to us to help him out. You know?
But this is it. This is just another example of their sort of not amateur. I didn't want to say the word amateur. I was trying to find a different word, but just that I think they were just allowing a lot of things in shot because, like we've already said about them, kind of being a bit nervous over some lines or not delivering lines properly. Maybe they were just like we talked about the diminishing returns thing. Maybe they just thought, you know what, it'll do. You know what I mean? And then maybe something like that later on
Yeah,
when the
because you've got to
series.
refilm that in front of the audience and all that stuff, so it would do. Yeah, I mean, when he spilt the milk on the floor, you wonder if that was nerves or deliberate. You know, when he feeds the cat and he
Yeah.
spills the milk everywhere, and you wonder, was that deliberate? Probably
There was
not,
a
right?
scene. I can't remember what it is. There's a scene where they're back in the bedroom again, and Rimmer's talking. Lister's talking to Rimmer. Lister's on the top bunk, and I could tell from that as well. I think that's not the first episode. I think that might be Me Squared or Future Echoes. I can't remember which one, but you can hear in his voice as he's delivering it. It's kind of like a lilt in his voice. You know what I mean? It's kind of a little bit shaky when he delivers it.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So I
Oh,
didn't think to note these
right.
bits down. I just kind of mentally noted it. But when you said about it just now, it just reminded me.
Well, the funny thing is, in future episodes, when the other cast are saying their lines, you can actually see Lister mouthing their lines.
Yeah, that's
Really
right. Yeah.
weird. What is with that? That's really strange, isn't it? I don't know why.
Will Smith used to do that a lot in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. There's
Yeah.
there's a lot of clips of Fresh Prince, early episodes of Fresh Prince, another classic series, classic comedy,
Yeah.
but completely different, obviously. But anyway, he's mouthing. You can see him like saying the person's lines. It's really strange.
Yeah, really
I guess
strange, isn't it?
maybe it's just actors' way of, if they're learning everyone's lines, they're just in the
Yeah.
flow kind of thing.
Yeah. It's an odd one. Yeah, funny one. So yeah, and so that's we basically, I mean,
We talk about balance of powers. Quite a good episode as well. When I thought it was really obvious when Rimmer comes back, sort of quote unquote comes back, tries to trick Lister into thinking that he's Kachansky, doesn't he? I think this is that episode, isn't it?
oh
There's
yeah, that's
a scene
balancing.
where
Oh, hang on.
such a pathetic attempt in the end, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's Balance of Power, that one. Yeah. No,
It was like we've discussed. It's the better Kachansky.
Yeah, because Claire Grogan from Altered Images, she sang "Happy Birthday," which is a hit in the 80s, she was great. I mean, I don't know if she did a lot of acting, but she was really good for that part. And then, of course, later seasons, they got this other Kachansky, which was just a weird character, not really appropriate. I don't know what that was. I think that was Doug Naylor on his own without sort of losing his mind and thinking they were going to have like a stereotypical female. They thought it would be funny, I suppose. I suppose when you're writing, you're looking for conflict and you're looking for something to power the show. And often the conflict was between Rimmer and Lister. But I think they were trying to drive conflict between the female character of Kachansky as loving Jane Austen and horses and shit, which is a really strange choice. And of course, Lister being a bum, which is, it just didn't work though, did it? It was just.
Well, they were trying to. They sort of overthought trying to make it. They sort of overthought the contrast. Like they didn't need to push the contrast so much between the two personalities of like Lister and Kachansky being into such different kind of lifestyles. They didn't really need to push it that much. It just was a bit silly in the end.
So if you want to move on to the next episode, which was Future Echoes, which I think is, for me, there's the tightest, best ever moment possibly the best ever in Red Dwarf. So the idea is that they decide to go back to Earth because Lister is the god of the cats, because he's in the holy book, and they're going to go home to Earth, take the cat back to Fiji, Fushal, which is how it was written in the holy books. Yeah. And so in order to do that, they have to travel at the speed of light and or approach light speed, and Lister's going to get, and Cat are going to go into stasis. But because of this, they start experiencing these future echoes. And so, I mean, what I liked about that, and a lot of those episodes, is there's no monster. It's just something. It's often like environmental factors or something drive the story, which is really I just like that. I think that's a very original sort of way to write science fiction. To rely on something in the environment or something about what they're doing creates the story. So yeah, you got these future echoes because they're traveling at the speed of light. And I think Holly says even with an IQ of 6,000, it's brown trousers time because he's like terrified.
Yeah,
he says by the time you've seen something, you've already passed it. I can't handle it. He's freaking out. So that's quite funny. Holly's just losing his mind.
Yeah, that's
left a bit. That was close. He's like as if he's driving on the autobahn or something, right?
Yeah. Even with an IQ of 6,000, it's still brown trousers time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the crew themselves actually agree with you. The crew apparently, one of the things I read about Future Echoes is like it was actually the 4th episode produced for the series.
Interesting, second one, and okay, that's interesting.
But they actually moved it to second because they felt it was the strongest. But they wanted to obviously have the first episode the way it was first, obviously. But they felt that this was like the best episode to have next, even though they filmed it 4th in a row. So they felt it was like the most strongly written episode of the whole season.
Did you just look that up, or did you know that?
I've got a note of it. I've learned it earlier. Right. I just got a note of it. Hence, you see me looking to the side.
Yeah, so I really like that episode. Maybe because it also a lot of the lore is sort of the foundation for future things that happen in Stasis Leak in season 2 when they see that Polaroid of him with 2 babies. And of course, because as the speed of light, as they get closer and closer to the speed of light, the future, they get slower and slower, whatever. The distance between the event and the experiencing it enlargens or shrinks. So at one point, there's actually an old age Lister on board the ship who's there, and that's when he tells them that they're going to go and they'll see Lister with the children, with his 2 kids. They have to run up, and that's how they get the Polaroid. But that bit of dialogue where Lister walks into the drive room and he sees Rimmer, and he's sort of, "Yo, Rimmer, I've been thinking about going into stasis," and he wants to go into stasis because and then Rimmer says, how did I do what? It's like completely non sequitur, doesn't follow what he said. And then Lister says, what do you mean, how did I do what? Then Rimmer starts looking over Lister's shoulder and not looking at him at all.
Yeah.
Lister, don't be a gimboid. And then Lister steps back, is like, what's going on? I'm not being a gimboid. And then Rimmer starts tracking an invisible object and turns completely away from him. And Lister's like, what the and it's so funny watching Craig Charles trying to doing the performance of trying to track what he's looking at. And it's so funny the way Lister crouches down and what is Rimmer looking at? And it's like there's something obviously not there, but it's so wonderfully convincing how they pull it off. And then Rimmer actually announces, "I've just been to the library thinking. I've decided." Shut up! And Lister's like, well, he does a 360 pirouette. He does this spin. It's so funny the way he turns and spins, and he's like, "What's going on?" And there's this moment when it's really sweet when Rimmer says, "I've decided I want to go into stasis. I want to be left behind I want to be switched left on when you go." And then Lister's like sounds really concerned. He's like, "Oh," he says, "Oh, what you want to be on your own for the rest of your life?" And then Rimmer says, "What things?" It's like the way the conversations are completely different. And then Lister goes, "Eh?" And then he says, "What's going on?" He realizes something's wrong. And he says, "Right, what's going on?" And then Rimmer says, "You're space crazy." And then Rimmer leaves. And then he reappears on the other side of the room. And then Lister says, the exact same conversation on Rimmer's behalf, but it fits in with what Lister's saying this time. So Lister's, "How did you do that?" And then Rimmer says, "How did I do what?" And then just this second you walked out the door, and then he says, "Lister, don't be a gimboid." And it's just wonderfully well written. I don't think I've ever seen that before. How that kind of the way the conversations it's almost like something the two Ronnies would actually dream up, to be honest with you, because they were always good at that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's similar style. I mean, like they didn't have much to work with then. It was just basically like stage acting. It was just kind of like two guys acting and creating all of this just themselves. They had no special effects or whatever that was helping them with this. It's just all about the timing, all about the interplay between the two actors and everything. And it was just like proper classic acting, proper sort of thing you might see if you went to like a play or something like that. Because obviously, they wouldn't have like, CGI or whatever. It's all on stage. It's all very physical and practical. And that's kind of what it was, just proper classic acting. Yeah, obviously, I know the scene you mean. It's like so well done. It's ridiculous. And this is it's one of the sort of best examples, certainly of the early seasons, of why we and so many people loved Red Dwarf. Is just you didn't have anything else doing that kind of scene. Like, what else was doing scenes like that? Like of that time, it was so, seminal. It was so kind of like, I'd say like ahead of it. To such a pioneering kind of comedy.
Absolutely, yeah. That sort of staginess of it, that theatricality of it, and those first two seasons, particularly, where there's not a lot of camera work. There's a lot of sort of stationary shots, not a lot of moving camera, not a lot of different scenes. It's wonderful. It's very stagey, but I quite like that. I think I'm going to play. Yeah, go on. Yeah, I'm going to play a song in a minute and take a break. But yeah, go on.
No worries. Yeah, that's also to our point earlier, though, of kind of like enjoying the early seasons for not having much outside involvement from sort of aliens or other whatever it is. It's just those central characters, and that makes it very much like a stage play. And it's that whole simplicity of it just works so well. And they don't have to. It really relies on the writing and the acting, as opposed to relying on shocks and horror and fighting and action and whatnot.
Yeah, so probably take a little bit of a break. I'm just going to bang on some music for a bit. Probably 5 minutes. I'll be back. Okay. So let's just. This is all a bit unfamiliar, so just bear with me. What shall I play? I'll just play. I'll play this song. I think it's about 4 minutes long. If I'll be back, but if I'm not, we could sort of alternate. We can give each other breaks. But I'm just going to take a quick 4 minute break. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll come back in 5 minutes. So then we've basically got in terms of Red Dwarf. We just haven't done Waiting for God, really. We could maybe do a bit more on Confidence and Paranoia.
Yeah. Well, as you like, and it don't matter, does it? I mean, I was thinking just in terms of how we can organize it. You can go from sequentially, but whatever you like, bro. And we've got a lot to get through. We've got other things to talk about. But yeah, I'll just bang this track on and take a break. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's 5 minutes then. Yeah.
All right, man. Yeah. Okay. Let's go. Yeah.
I ventured towards alehouse, parley with my friends, to imbibe libations mead from the top shelf. The stout yeoman beckoned, he asked me my sign. The die cast he whispered,
Yes, sir, I am the elf.
Dungeons and Dragons, a roll of the dice. Orcs, goblins, wizards, isn't it nice? Fantasy fun times, the Lord of the Rings. You're about as sexy as Bilbo Baggins. One night at Games Workshop, whilst painting an ent, fair mates at the windows were calling us puffs. And shedding their vestments, they cackled like crows. They showed us their tits, and they showed us their muffs. To barter or battle, choose gold or the staff. Whilst passing folk outdoors, now stop all to laugh. Thus turtle and quaking, I fumble my roll. The games master said,
You got killed by a troll.
Dungeons and Dragons, the life of cosplay. Whilst naked nubiles are calling me gay. Tits at the window, I hide in a book. A lifetime of wanking, no chance of a fuck. Dungeons and Dragons, Dungeons and Dragons.
Fantasy wheels, slow fantasy wagons.
Dungeons and Dragons, Dungeons and Dragons.
Fantasy wheels drove from fantasy flagons.
Dungeons and Dragons, Dungeons and Dragons.
Fantastic parking at fantasy taverns.
All right, I'm getting the hang of this. Yeah, yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have played that last track. The previous one had a naughty word in it, inappropriate. Anyway, anyway, apologies if anyone was offended by that. Anyway, yeah, I'm just starting out of this. So, right, are you with us, Future Shock? We've lost Future Shock. Okay. Oh, we got any volume? Are you there, bro?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right, mate. Okay, good. So yeah, where were we? We were gonna go on. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say we were going to talk about some of the other episodes. Waiting for God was one I mentioned. Has one of my favorite lines in it. It's a very, very sort of short line. I think it comes towards the end. And again, it's just the kind of like we touched upon before about British humor. It's just that kind of thing. And it's basically right towards the end where, well, do you want me to sort of explain the premise of the episode? Finding.
Oh, sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, the part of it that I'm talking about anyway is that there's a garbage disposal unit thing. I can't remember exactly what they called it.
It's making garbage pod.
A garbage pod, that's it. There's a garbage pod that's being recovered, but Rimmer isn't aware that it's a garbage pod. He thinks it's something from aliens. So what does he call them? I can't think of it.
Quagars.
Quagars. That's
It's
it,
a name I made up. Quagars.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, they've got this in kind of quarantine or whatever, and Holly's sort of looking over it, and Rimmer keeps going periodically back to it throughout the episode. We keep going back and forth to it, and then at the end, they find out that it is a garbage pod disposal unit, and then Lister turns to Holly and says, "Well, why didn't you tell him?" And Holly just goes, "No, it's a laugh in it." And I just, and like, it obviously doesn't work that well when I do it, but like, it's just such a funny thing. It's just this idea, and it again reinforces like the loneliness, the isolation, and all this kind of stuff. Because he's just like, he just wants to have a laugh. He's just having a laugh in it. He just wants to sort of wind Rimmer up. It's just the idea that he would do that as well. Like, it's just, oh man, it's just such a hilarious delivery of that line.
Well, that is a theme. I think that's in Balance of Power. That's where Lister tries to do to become an officer, so he'll outrank Rimmer, and he says, "Well, if I'm an officer, I'll outrank you, and you'll have to give me Kachansky's tapes because you believe all that officer smeg." So he tries to become, because there's that bit where Rimmer's saying, "Well, what do you know about porous circuits and Boyle's fourth law and all this? What's Boyle's fourth law?" It says, "Don't eat too many cakes." But there's that he at the end he sort of makes out that he's passed the exam. Remember that?
Yeah, no, I remember right at the end. I'm just trying.
It says Rimmer saying, "Oh, well, okay." He gets the result from the machine, and Rimmer says, "Well, how did you do? How did you do? How did it go?" And then Lister says, "How did it go, Mister Lister said?"
Yeah,
And then
it
for a
ends.
week, you think. Then I was thinking that I watched that. I remember, and I was thinking, "Oh, what's going to happen now? Lister's an officer, right? Imagine that. Imagine how the dynamic would change. And Rimmer is literally serving Lister. But then in the opening for that following week's show, Holly's monologue at the beginning, the SOS distress call, he says, you know, oh well, the latest news is that Lister pretended to pass the catering officer's exam. So that's how exciting things are around here. It's like generally, that idea that things are really dull and they've just got to entertain themselves.
Yeah, it's the same idea, isn't it? There's the one, I think it's that episode where they're talking about, it's one of the episodes of this season, but I think it's this episode where they're talking about how Rimmer keeps failing. He keeps trying to do the exam, doesn't he? And keeps failing. I think he's done it like
10 times.
Is it 11 times?
No, 9 times and 10 times, including the time he had a spasm, apparently.
You say like, last time I only failed by the narrowest of narrow margins. And Lister's like, you walked in there, wrote "I am a fish" 400 times, did a funny little dance and fainted. So it's just, and then later on you see him. What does he do? What does he do again when he's in the exam? I can't remember. Does he draw something on the
No, he's copied he's copied the textbook onto his arms and legs.
His arms and legs, yeah. But on the actual exam,
he's trying to remove his shirt sleeves, but he smudges all of the ink. So he's looking in aghast horror that all of the answers are just smudged beyond recognition, and he then just slaps his palm print onto the paper, which is just all
and signs it.
Stands up and he salutes and faints to get Todd Hunter is watching him like, what the fuck's going on with him?
Yeah, man, it's quality.
So yeah, there's a really funny bit. Well, it's another one of them well-written, tight little scripted moments where Holly is just bored again, right? And he says, right, I've read everything that's ever been written. Says the worst book is ever written is It's a Funny Old Game by Kevin Keegan.
Yeah, that's it.
Lister says, why don't you delete? Lister says, well, why don't you just read them again? And Holly says, well, just type, if you delete Agatha Christie from my memory banks, I'll be able to read all the collected works of Agatha Christie again.
Yeah, I remember.
You get this exchange where Lister says, okay, he types in delete Agatha Christie with the password. Okay, done it. And then Holly says, done what? I've deleted Agatha Christie from your memory. Who's she then? You told me to delete. Why would I do that? You just told me to. It's just wonderful that, and you don't know if Holly is just fucking with him and messing him around.
Yeah. No, that's it.
You just don't know half the time.
I was going to say that earlier. Like sometimes you just don't know, like if he's actually messing or not, and that's kind of like a cool thing as well. It keeps it a bit open ended because sometimes he is, sometimes he isn't. You just don't know.
There's also that bit which is interesting. It's one of the bits that was on Dave Holland's Space Cadet from the 1983 radio program comedy sketch show Son of Cliche, which they wrote together and had Chris Barry in the cast. Played Hab, the ship's computer, not Holly, but Hab. And there's this bit where in Red Dwarf he says, I don't alarm you, but there's 2 light-speed ships tracking Red Dwarf. And Lister says, well, I saw this. He says, yeah, they're from the Norweb Federation.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
He says, you left. It says you left a light on in the bathroom, and now you owe a bill of 180 billion pounds because you've been consuming electricity all that time. But he also left a plate of sausages in his kitchen. And then Harley says, "Do you know what happens to sausages when you leave them?" And then like Lister goes,
moldy.
Go moldy. Says, yeah, your sausages now cover 4/5 of the Earth's surface, you know. And then Lister's like, "What?" And then suddenly it cuts to him with a funny nose and glasses and mustache.
Yeah,
April Fools. It's not even April. And then Harley goes, "Well, with a jape like that, I couldn't wait until April." You know. So I love that sort of. They just try to pass the time.
What is it about British humor of that kind? Like how because when we talked about this, like when we were sort of chatting about what we were going to do for this show, it got me thinking about that. It got me thinking about how do you kind of like sum up that sort of humor, that classic British humor? Because in some sense, it's quite simplistic. It's not like super obtuse or whatever, but it's just a lot of it's to do with delivery as well, I think, and timing and this kind of thing.
But the funny thing is, like, I've been a show like Friends, for instance. I can't really tolerate Friends because it's too busy. It's so like American sitcoms, for instance, are generally really busy, aren't they?
A bit relentless.
Loads of characters, and everyone's just firing off japes at each other and jokes. And it's kind of relentless, and it's like, oh, it's tiring in a sense. I mean, fucking hell, this is tiring.
Yeah.
Friends is tiring me out then. Something like Frasier is a much more my pace. That's kind of like a more British style sitcom. But yeah, something about what it might be about is I don't know, that we're not, the British are historically known to being reserved and moderate and such. Might be part of the British character as it used to be that Americans, of course. I mean, that's a funny thing about, we mentioned the Americans in that episode, Confidence and Paranoia, where Lister contracts a mutated form of pneumonia.
Comedian Craig Ferguson with an early turn.
Exactly, yeah. He went on to become very famous hosting the Late Show in America.
Show. If anybody's listening and wants to laugh, that show, I can't recommend it enough. Craig Ferguson's late shows. You can see the highlights in the episodes on YouTube. They're so fucking funny, man.
He's very good, isn't he? He fits in with that American style very, very, very well, doesn't he?
He was a bit different in Red Dwarf, really, to his humor on the Late Show, but he's just very good ad hoc humor, just away from Red Dwarf for a sec. Like, just his sort of like improv is so good, man. He's crazy.
Yeah. He plays an American character funnily enough, in Confidence and Paranoia. He's like an American. He's the confidence guy. He's got the loud shirt, the loud sort of golfing jacket. He's got the white bleached American style teeth and everything else, and he speaks with an American accent. So that idea that Americans are confident, overconfident, perhaps. I mean, things have changed now, but we always used to, back in the 80s and 90s, there was always the perception that Americans were somewhat overconfident in them, in themselves, and we were more reserved, right? We had a little bit of a snooty attitude to the Americans back in the day, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, definitely. I grew up with that.
We grew up with that, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, Americans just being sort of in your face, and the way the accent sounds and all this kind of thing. Yeah, it can just seem that this, a bit sort of loud and brash and all this sort of thing.
And then you got the paranoia character, who's sort of just typically British and always sort of like grumbling and moaning,
Oh yeah, and sort of sniveling and sort of like snidey, this kind of thing, this kind of character. But like you just alluded to earlier, the overconfidence of confidence almost gets Lister killed, doesn't it? So,
well, that's a very interesting episode, isn't it? It's like a parable. It's almost sometimes like the writing skills of those two sort of enters some kind of philosophical domain, doesn't it? I mean, it is a very philosophical show, I think.
100%, yeah.
I mean, obviously they tackled the issues of God and what is existence and what does it all mean and such. But particularly that episode, Confidence and Paranoia, that if you are too confident, if you're left alone with, just supreme confidence, perhaps he goads him into taking off his helmet out in space, and of course it kills confidence, and Paranoia has already been murdered by confidence. And that episode's quite interesting because once they're both dead, because they're both materializations of his confidence and paranoia, but somehow because of this mutation of this pneumonia virus, they become real people, they become externalized. But once they die, it's quite funny because he's rehearsing that line when he's going, because this is the penultimate episode of the season. He thinks he's going to have Kachansky, because he thinks he's found Kachansky's tapes of her hologram, and he's rehearsing what he's going to say to her. Do you remember that? So he goes through confidence and paranoia in that moment. I thought, oh yeah, well, he's absorbed confidence and paranoia back into his psyche, and then he's going, hey, Kachansky, hey, and then he goes, oh, hey, Kachansky. He's like, he goes through cycling levels of confidence and paranoia, and then of course it turns out it's Rimmer again. It's another Rimmer because he says, "Do you think I'd be stupid enough to put
Yeah,
the Kaczynski tapes right under your nose where you would find them?" And it turns out he's been tricked, and they've got that leads into the final episode, which is Me Squared, where there's 2 Rimmers, and we discussed how is that idea that could you really live with yourself? Are you really as
it
really
just sort of like
you know?
show you it just sort of demonstrate what a smeghead Rimmer was, isn't it? Like, for all the occasions where it's demonstrated that he kind of needs Lister really to stop himself from going crazy, he does a lot of stupid shit to him, of course. So like that. So it kind of goes to show you that he is kind of correctly called a smeghead quite a lot of times throughout the whole show, basically, and deservedly so.
Yeah, there is something funny about the relationship between Rimmer and Lister, though. It's like, I don't want to use the word marriage because I don't. There's something about the mutual support of it, though, and I think, like I said to you in the conversation we had on the phone, it was like we were saying some of the best creative works are often written with 2 people being critical of each other, and Lister and Rimmer are certainly critical of each other, and it's interesting. And of course, Holly decides that that's the best way to keep Lister sane is by having Rimmer with him to keep him in to keep him sort of grounded, perhaps.
Because what would Rimmer do? Rimmer would what? Hang out with Kat? That's not going to happen. And then, then what's he not got? Well, he could maybe have his other Rimmer. He could have, he gets to have one other hologram, and that's it. So he would. It was no. Hang on a sec. Forget that. Never mind that. But he would go crazy. So yeah, it doesn't make sense sometimes. But do you think, though, what I was going to ask you before, sorry, is do you think then when you were talking about the interesting sort of like compatibility of the 2, do you think that's almost can be them maybe it's sort of like Rob Grant, Doug Naylor sort of representing themselves a little bit?
Yeah, well, that's very interesting. Yeah, that's
but kind of just sort of
yeah.
calibrating it or representing it through their writing, through the.
Well, I understand. I don't know what kind of working relationship they had. There was some acrimony between them. That they had a difference because I don't know if Rob Grant wanted. He wanted the production company later became Grant Naylor Productions, didn't it?
Yeah.
And I think Grant wanted equal credits, or Doug Naylor wanted vice versa. There was some acrimony about who did what and who was credited with what. I mean, I think some of the books were written by Doug Naylor and Rob Grant, but there was something about that, and they actually reached an agreement eventually. I don't know the background; it's some kind of legal stuff, some kind of Lennon-McCartney style legal stuff. But they eventually, ironically, settled on a Lennon-McCartney sort of solution where they're both for everything. They're just the whole thing is both of them now. It's Grant Naylor Productions. But I believe the reason Rob Grant left the partnership was because he didn't want to be known as just the Red Dwarf guy. He wanted to do other things.
Right.
And he actually did write a good series, a series called The Strangerers, which only had 1 season. I think it was on ITV. And that, I believe, if you've ever heard of Third Rock from the Sun,
yeah.
That's definitely inspired by The Strangerers. I mean, I can't be sure if they saw that, but Strangerers is about a group of aliens who disguise themselves as humans, and for like researching purposes, they're researching Earth, and they're very bad at it. They're bad at being humans. They just don't know how it works. So it's quite funny. This event funny, and that's what Third Rock of the Sun is. So it's quite interesting. They got that idea first, The Strangers. I think you can get it on YouTube. It's worth watching. It's quite funny. It's got Jack Doherty. Is it Jack Doherty from Absolutely, the Scottish actor? It's got Milton Jones, who's a comedian. It's got a few other bits and pieces. Quite funny. Yeah,
it must be quite interesting.
But it didn't get another series. So Rob Grant then, I don't think he did anything after that, to be honest with you. So yeah.
I was just going to say, it must be quite interesting being that kind of writing partnership. And I'm just trying to think like how, as somebody who's done creative writing before, I've never really done kind of script writing like that, especially not collaboratively with someone else. So I just wonder how it is when you're writing the characters. Like, does one do one character more than the other? How it just kind of makes me curious to think like how they would sort of pad it out, how they sort of write it together. Like, does one write more for Rimmer? Does one write more for Lister?
You don't. That's a very good question. Yeah, it's interesting.
Like, what would that look like? What would that, in practical terms?
I'd say a lot of it is bouncing ideas off each other, in a way, right? like the way we worked together on the idea for that intro for the. I mean, it's a small scale thing, but the intro video for this show was an idea of yours, and then right, what was your idea?
Well, kind of. It was basically you kind of
Yeah.
captured it essentially, and yeah, you done quite a good. You did a better job than me with my initial attempts to do it. Anyway, yeah, just this idea of the kind of the alien arriving home and watching the show sort of thing, and then you kind of expanded it out.
So you initially said that you wanted them to be an alien spaceship in a hangar, being investigated by astronauts or by
Ah, that was
scientists,
it.
and then the
Yeah,
alien just strolls in and just commands the spaceship, and he's attacked by, and he's observing Earth events and things, and they trying to blow him up with missiles, and he escapes, and then he at the end he just flicks on the show.
yeah.
And I tried to do that, but it was really difficult somehow to get that to look right in AI to get the scientists. I couldn't. I had the idea as well of doing one of them Nazi UFO ships, which I quite like. You know, the whole UFO sort, the German Third Reich saucer technology was quite. I would like to have done that, but I don't know about that. It just wasn't quite fitting, and but I kept the core idea that I like the idea of the alien observing events on Earth. You know. But I was interested by the idea of the Atlas 3I. In fact, we're going to talk about asteroids in a minute and heavenly phenomenon. The Atlas 3I thing. Did you follow that stuff?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, well, we spoke about it. I think
Yeah,
quite a few shows, didn't we?
it's very interesting. I mean, now it's heading off into back into space. But the interesting thing about that is it came in a direction. It was only spotted in July 2025.
Oh, this is the thing. Yeah.
It's really weird, right?
Isn't it?
Completely unprepared for that. Yeah, because often asteroids and such they follow like a 15-year course or something, and they can be predicted where they'll come next. Obviously, gravitational perturbations will change the position when they return. They usually orbit the sun in really long orbits, but this thing just came out of nowhere. And I looked into it. It came from there was a famous so-called WOW signal that came. It was in 1976 or something. It came from the direction of Sagittarius. And it was the closest thing we've had to the idea that intelligent life is communicating with us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can get on YouTube. You can listen to the WOW signal, and it just was an extremely high-powered signal coming. It said that it was in the hydrogen energy range, which would be the most likely range that anything would communicate in, because it's something that the technological civilization would be able to recognize. And it was thinking, okay, it was a really high-powered signal coming from Sagittarius. In retrospect, scientists are saying now it's really a natural thing, like some kind of quasar or something, or supernova or something. Who knows? The fact that the Atlas 3I comet came from that direction made people think that actually, this could be something interesting.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that area of Sagittarius is quite a busy.
Yeah, well, there's a black hole, really big black hole in there, a supermassive black hole in there or something, right?
Yeah, it churns out a lot of stuff. So
yeah,
there's a lot of.
It's a busy place. Yeah, a very busy place that is. Yeah. So yeah, that was only spotted in July 2025, which is like very, very, very. It's really interesting, you know. Yeah, really fascinating. And I thought, people were saying, well, could it be some kind of like technological craft disguised as a comet? They were analyzing it, and they said it had a really high composition of nickel, right? It had really unusually high pure nickel content, and they felt apparently it's full of alcohol as well. Weirdly, I actually wanted to make it that the comet goes to the off license. It jumps out the spaceship, fills up with whiskey, and then flies back, and that's the alcohol signature. But yeah, it's really a lot of weird things about that comet.
I'd take a ride on that comet if that was a comet.
Yeah.
A comet full of whiskey.
Comet. It was a comet full of alcohol, so it's a really flipping strange thing. Yeah.
It's kind of mad to think that perhaps sometime in the future that could be possible, though. Like when we have more control over things like that, we could just sort of like get control of a comet, hollow it out, turn it into some kind of holiday resort, and you could just go flying around the solar system in your asteroid hotel, your comet hotel. sipping whiskies and whatnot. It would be kind of crazy.
Just huffing the fumes, man. You know, the alcohol fumes of the Corona or whatever. You know.
They probably have to put like some sort of dome over it, a see-through dome or whatever, but protective dome. But yeah, I'm up for that. That sounds like a fucking fun journey.
Yeah, well, okay, let's move on. So somewhat away from Red Dwarf, at least for the minute. Let me see if I can work this now. Got to change this. Hang on. So bear with me. So I'm moving away from that. I'm going to share something else now. Yeah, oh, hang on. What's going on? Apophis. Yeah, Apophis, which is
The god of death.
the god of chaos, the Egyptian god of chaos. Apophis is even worse than Set. You know, I mean, they say that Set was a kind of like proto-satanic thing, right?
Yeah.
An opponent of Horus and all this, but the thing is with the that still is like a binary thing. Like Apophis is just pure chaos apparently, and it's the worst thing ever. It's not even evil. It's just beyond evil. It's just pure chaos. So,
and the name was given to the comet after its trajectory had been plotted. So
yeah, right. Well, this was sort of spotted, I think, in 2001 or so, and it's can you see the screen there? Can you see that? Yeah, I'm just going to play this. Now, look, this is fascinating. This is the Earth, right? And these are the orbital satellites and communications.
Oh, okay. I've not seen this. Cool.
This is really freaky. So I'll just play that. Where it's going to pass is the Apophis asteroid. It's going to slam into your Sky TV, you know, satellite and all that, right? You know.
So there's a few that are really far out.
They're not really obviously not in astronomical terms. They're not far out, really, are they? I mean,
okay.
Look, I mean that's literally a dynamic. That's the diameter of the Earth. They're like what, the order of 2 or 3 Earths.
Okay, yeah, maybe so. It's just because he's that way. Yeah.
I mean, the moon is way further than this. So this thing is literally going to pass. I mean,
it's a close call for sure.
Very close call, right? So I think the diameter of the Earth is what, 10,000 kilometers, or 12 or so, 7,000 miles. And this is going to come about, and they say about. You see, this is why it could be the end of the world, because there's no way they're saying about. This is interesting. I mean, okay, the thing isn't supposed to be that big. It's probably not going to be big enough to, but it could well. Anyway, this is 2029, and there was always that theory, you know, back in the truth-seeking days, that the elite are getting ready for some kind of major sort of apocalyptical upheaval, you know, geological event or space event or asteroid, and this would be quite a good contender for that, right? We've never seen anything pass as close to Earth as this thing.
Just a few
diameters of Earth away, yeah.
And I believe it's about the size of Wembley Stadium, isn't it?
Oh yeah, right, yeah. It's supposed to be not that big, so they say, but yeah.
Is that right? Is that about because I think Wembley Stadium's the correct sort of comparison, isn't it? I think that's about right size.
April the 13th, 2029. So that's going to safely pass, yeah. But like I said, I mean, if it was going to destroy the Earth or impact the Earth, would they even tell us? You know, they probably wouldn't.
But the thing is, you'd think someone would, you know, couldn't some amateur have figured it out? Like some amateur astronomer in some way?
Very doubtful. Very doubtful.
Just too difficult, is it?
No, because it's usually these things are like Atlas 3I was named because it's named after the Atlas Array, which is obviously it's an array of telescopes. I think it's in Chile.
Yeah.
And also the James Webb Space Telescope. I mean, you can't get access to that kind of stuff, right? You're only going to get what what they tell you. That's going to be potentially like it can be all that information can be controlled if it has to be, if they discover something that, you know. So yeah, it's 340 meters diameter. So that's, what is that? 340 meters.
Let's see.
Is that the pitch of a football? Is that a football pitch approximately?
Let's have a look.
A bit more than
some examples.
So yeah,
about the size of
this was discovered in 2004. It appeared Apophis might impact Earth in either 2029 2036. They were saying it might impact Earth. They're backtracking on that now and saying it will safely pass, but it'll be pretty interesting anyway. But yeah, even if it was going to hit Earth, we wouldn't tell us because there'd be panic and people would just probably start, a lot of people would go nuts probably and just freak
It's
out.
an
But
interesting question. It's an
yeah,
interesting question because, like, if you were in that position, what do you do? Because obviously your first instinct is to be honest, but then you think it through and you start to think of the impact. And really, you realize that not telling people is probably the better. If it's going to hit anyway, and there's nothing you can do about it, not telling people is probably the better thing to do.
yeah, interesting, isn't it? Yeah,
But then it's a
yeah,
horrible thing to do
yeah.
still. So, but if it's going to hit anyway,
Not
do you know what I
telling
mean?
people, yeah, not
But then at
telling
the
them.
same time, there's a lot of people who would benefit from that because they wouldn't care anymore and they just live the last few years having amazing
I'd
fun.
be super cool with it. I'd be like, yeah, I reckon it's about time because this fucking planet's gone nuts anyway. You know what I mean? The flipping
It's like a
blue weird
universal planning
SJWs and all
effect.
fucking shit. It's just gone too nuts. I think, yeah, it's just absolute mess right here now. You need a spring
Oh,
clean, right?
unreal, isn't it? It's just
Yeah.
there's a feeling of unraveling.
Well, yeah, but America is interesting with Trump, but in Europe we're just we are living
it's
in a
horrible.
communist
I mean,
dictatorship,
like
man.
some of the stuff we've seen in the past year or two, even stupid shit. Like for me, this is just a weird little random gripe. This is not something that's hugely terrible for people on some of the things we could otherwise talk about. But just in the last sort of 6 to 10 months, like I've noticed there's so much more rudeness in society. There's always been rudeness. We live in London, I live in North London, I live in where I live. I'm not going to obviously say where I live, but you know where I live. So there's always an element of rudeness, but it's got noticeably worse in the past year. And I just wonder, like, if this keeps on going, like how bad is it going to get in? I mean, I can't speak for the rest of England. I'm just talking about London and my area here, but it's
Yeah,
noticeable, man. The last year, it's really noticeable. Is the deterioration?
everyone's really fucking miserable as well. Like so many people are just fucking miserable and scowling.
But then you factor in all the shit that you hear people like.
I mean, I'm not saying they're wrong to be miserable, but that's the point: is don't get miserable. Try and resist that urge because that's what they want. The system wants to grind you down, and it's probably the people who are most invested in the system and those who are its strongest servants are the most miserable people. Who follow the system. I mean, I'm not pretending I'm a fucking outlaw, but we are in the system. But we at least have independent thought, and we make our own minds up about things, don't we? And I think that gives us like freedom in our hearts or whatever,
I'll just say this. I just got to quickly fill up my cup of water. But I was just going to say that, like for people who are in the system, quote unquote, as you're saying, like for us to, like in both ways, what we've done with our lives has been pretty decent, like compared to what, we're not such sort of slaves to it as such sort of PR
sellouts
kind of people. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we've mentioned that because that's why Lister, weirdly, when I was a kid growing up, I always liked Lister as the character that he wouldn't sell out. I kind of would. I'm not saying I mean, obviously the dream would be to be Lister on Red Dwarf, and it'd be fucking amazing life, right? Just carefree, just But I just like this character. He's like he has his standards, he has his ethics, he has his values, and he has a good heart. And he's a heroic character, but he's no way. Rimmer, of course, is the slave. He is the system slave. You know what I mean? And yeah.
The archetype. He's the ultimate archetype, the ultimate stereotype, isn't it?
And yet he doesn't succeed. He's not even, he's such a slave. He's so much a drone that he can't even make it work because he doesn't have that, that sort of maverick nature that actually could lead to success in such, right?
100%.
All that stuff he has to become Ace Rimmer later on, and that because he gets. It's very interesting. All the psychology of it.
It's funny that you mentioned that. Isn't there? I'm sure there's a bit in one of the. Again, I can't remember which episode it is, but I'm sure there's a bit where Ace Rimmer's alluded to in one of the early episodes of Red Dwarf, where Rimmer says something like, "Oh, I like to." I think they're talking about parallel universes or something. And Rimmer says something like, "Oh, I like to think that there's a heroic version of me that flies around the universe, saving people or saving planets or whatever." He says something to that effect. And when I heard that, I was like, "Oh shit!" Well, that's basically describing Ace, basically.
Well, the first time he refers to himself as Ace is in the second season, Crichton, when he says, if I want you to refer to me as Ace, and if we meet any girls, you have to say how brave I am and all that. Do you remember that Crichton episode? and he can't. Yeah, but that's yeah. He wants to be known as Ace. That's kind of like the start of the Ace Rimmer character in a way, even though he's
I wonder if
pretending
that
to.
line kind of like they sort of reused that idea later on for Ace, for the Ace character. But yeah, it was interesting when you said it because it's nowhere near when Ace Rimmer comes in. Ace Rimmer comes in like way later on in the seasons, but yet he's basically describing it. So yeah, but then that's just a creativity thing. Sometimes, yeah, you just kind of like borrow ideas from previous.
Dimension jump, isn't it?
Possibly, can't remember.
Dimension jump. I mean, there's the Holly Hop drive, but that's. Oh no! Oh, is that White Hole? Or is that Dimension Jump?
No.
Oh man, well we're not doing
it's not White
season
Hole.
2 yet, so I'll have to cross that bridge when I get to it. Right.
By the way, regarding Apophis, what would you do?
Yeah.
What would you do? Because I said
if it was going to destroy the Earth.
I'm going to go for not telling. What would you do?
Oh, if I knew, I'd that's a good question. I'd have to tell people, because if you try and live in the truth, which is like it's like a superpower in a way. It's like, as a Christian, like Jesus said, I give you the spirit of truth, and whatever. I just believe you got to tell the truth, because you don't have to make up as many lies to protect. It's easier to be truthful, right? And I'd fucking say I tell the truth and just say, listen, this is an opportunity. It's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, the thing is, like,
it's an opportunity to actually just let the cares of life. A lot of people would obviously take advantage of it. You'd have to maybe not tell some people, just like, because they just, you can imagine. You'd have to obviously secure things. You'd have to train a force to maintain order and such, because you don't want the human race to go out like just raping and pillaging. You want to have a pretty good last day on planet Earth, right? You go out respectable, right? You don't want to get let down by all the scumbags who would just use it as an excuse to, shoplift and loot, right?
It's such a weird thing to weigh up, because if you're in a position of power that can affect these sort of things, i.e., create a police force to police that, or and things like this, there's so many things to think about in terms of making this decision. Rather than all, I mean, I get what you're saying fully about, wanting to err on the side of honesty and being truthful about things. But then if you were making this announcement, and I think if I was not a position of authority, in a position of power, yeah, I would do that. But I can see why someone who is in a position of authority would choose not to, because.
Well, they've got too much to lose, haven't they? It's like, if you've got nothing to lose, then, I mean, yeah.
I was just going to say, also the effects it can have in terms of danger for people. Yes, there's people who would live maybe more fun and exciting times if they knew, but then that at what cost? I mean, it's such a difficult one to weigh up. Yeah.
But then again, if you just live by the truth, it's easy to it's easy to answer, because you say, well, I'm not going to lie to million. I'm not going to lie to everyone.
I know it's something we didn't mention about Apophis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's coming on April the 13th.
Oh yeah,
Friday.
Oh yeah.
Friday the 13th.
I was gonna say, is it a Friday? That's brilliant. Yeah,
Friday.
Nice one. I love that. Well, that's even. It's all good. It's like we seem to survive the Japanese earthquake, end of the world prediction though. So
Yeah, I don't know. Is there an equivalent for Apophis? Is there any kind of ancient thing that predicted this? I don't know.
I haven't heard it discussed, but there might be a reason no one's talking about it. That might be part of the cover-up.
This is the thing. You just never know. I mean, like, I always work on the presumption that there's a shitload of stuff we don't get told, and this could just be, and that could be anything, quite literally.
That thing is going to land on Apophis apparently, and study it. Yeah, this sort of probe is pretty cool, isn't it? Because the gravity of the thing is going to be so small, it's like, it's going to just be sort of flying at the same speed and hopefully sort of touch down with it. But
yeah, because they sent out pictures. Do you remember seeing the pictures from the asteroid? They sent a probe up. I cannot remember which one it was. This is probably about 10 years at least old now. But they sent up a probe to an asteroid, and it filmed on the surface. I don't know if you ever saw that video, where it almost looked like a really sort of wintry, snowy scene. it was really mad to think somehow
Yeah.
we've got a probe onto a comet and it's filming that. It's kind of crazy.
They're gonna the thing that the satellite, the probe is called Horus, right? So all that symbolism. I think they think no, Osiris. No, sorry, not Horus. Osiris. Yeah, Osiris. Osiris, Apophis, Explorer. So all this ancient Egyptian symbolism. That they're reenacting the gods, the ancient mysteries in space. Fucking lunatics, but I guess
it's mad how they always do this, don't they? It's just like,
yeah.
oh, mate. But yeah, Friday the 13th, it seems written. Well, I'll be there with my telescope anyway. I'll be there.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
If I'm still in this place, I can go to the hill just up there. The name I won't say, don't give away where I am exactly. But yeah, I can go up to the hill not too far away from me with my telescope and look for the asteroid or comet as it flies by.
All right, what time are we on? 10 to 11?
We are nearly 2 hours in. We've nearly done 2 hours already.
So we've covered most of the things we wanted to cover. We've got one more thing, and it's the old Jeffrey Epstein thing, isn't it? So
yeah, I saw a photo of a lookalike today, and I think it was from Florida. Someone was in Florida and in a car in Florida driving soft top with the top down. It looked
there was a
exactly
lookalike of Ghislaine Maxwell as well. It's, they reckon she's alive, but someone saw someone who looked like Ghislaine Maxwell. Yeah.
This is not new conspiracy theory type stuff either. I mean, I remember Hunter S. Thompson writing in the 60s and 70s about this kind of thing happening. He was, sort of joking about it, but also kind of sort of serious about it as well. So
there we go.
This idea of cloning is not a new thing. I mean, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. You know me. I'm like, I just can't be. I wouldn't be surprised by anything these days.
There we go. So a lot of so New York Post is actually a pretty good newspaper in America. It's probably the best one. So we've got quite a lot of questions. Anything we don't about Jeffrey Epstein stuff. Died 6 years ago. I mean, not only he didn't kill himself, but it's my belief. Oh no, this is the article. I can't show the pictures because I brought this because I can put this in the chat or something. Should I post that in the chat? But I mean, it has links. I should probably not bother because it shows pictures of a dead body. But I want to demonstrate. I mean, I'm not going to demonstrate it, but you can look this article up. But in my mind, for me, that isn't Jeffrey Epstein's body. And this was something that came back on the David Icke forum way back. That there was pictures of Jeffrey Epstein on the gurney, his body. But it isn't him. I mean, I could demonstrate that it isn't him, but it would mean showing the pictures of a dead body, and I just can't. You can't do that. Your channel will be shut down and such. So
yeah, okay.
I've got to be careful with this. Yeah. So
well, there's so many ridiculous.
But anyway, there's minutes of footage missing, right? There's famously 3 minutes of footage missing.
They take the piss though, don't they? They true spoon. They really. It's amazing to me, like how they still have no regard for the public's intelligence. And to be fair, maybe they've got somewhat of a point, but like they just take the piss with things like this, don't they? Like you just said with the minutes of tape lost. They always lose tapes. There's always like not CCTV available. Or something like this, but it's just so obvious. Yet people don't care, and that's why they can keep doing it. It's crazy.
All right. Well, this is where the conspiracy gets quite interesting. So, Tony Rodham was Bill Clinton's sister. Oh, sorry, Jesus Christ! What am I talking about? Hillary Clinton's sister. Sorry, Hillary Clinton's sister. I just lost focus for a minute there. The body that actually is the body you can see, the face that you can see on that New York Post article. Someone's done a forensic level analysis of his ears, and they match Tony Rodham's ears much more than they match. In fact, there's a perfect match matching his ears. Tony Rodham died 2 months before Jeffrey Epstein apparently died.
Oh, I see. Right.
And the amount of time I looked into the amount of time you can store a body. You can store a body refrigerated for about 4 weeks, but you can freeze a body for potentially much longer, for potentially months. And the funny thing is that there's no official cause of death of Tony Rodham. There was no funeral.
Okay.
And the only people who reported the death was Hillary Clinton herself. And we know how connected the Democrats were with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was going to say.
It's very fucking interesting.
I
But
didn't
it
know
isn't.
that.
It isn't Epstein's body. I'm not going to show the pictures, of course, because I can't. I wish I could, but it is not. The body is not Epstein's. The face is totally different. The nose is completely different. The ears are different. The hair is different.
You can kind of see
it
why
looks
they've
like
used it.
Tony Rodham.
You can kind of see in the picture you're putting up there why they would have chose it, because there are some similarities, right? They look kind of similar. I'm not saying they're spitting images or anything, but there's kind of a resemblance, and so that it works in that sense. And I didn't realize about that. I didn't realize about Hillary Clinton's brother passing away. So that just
the news was shared only by Hillary herself. And apparently, no cause of death was released. No funeral was held. No obituary. Nothing. It's very fucked up, man. And then 2 months later, which is the maximum time you can refrigerate a body. Apparently, morgues can be, but it's 4 weeks. But it could to store a dead body in a morgue and such, right? I looked into it, and on average, they can be stored for 4 weeks. But it could stretch to 2 months. But they can be frozen at deep temperatures for much longer, obviously. And so anyway, yeah, just 2 months later, Jeffrey Epstein reportedly died. It's not his body. It's just simply a fact that it's not his body. It even came out in the files released by Trump that there was Benny Johnson was reporting that it wasn't his body, it wasn't Epstein, he's still alive, but that's been washed over now because it's just such a rabbit hole. And yeah, 3 minutes of footage missing. You easily could have snuck him out, snuck this exchange of this body. Also, recently in the news, I think 2 of the people who were guarding were reportedly received $5,000 or something as a bribe. Did you read about that? So they were paid off.
It's ringing a bell. It's ringing a bell. I can't remember what they officially said it was for. They did make an official statement about it, but I can't remember the excuse now. But yeah, that makes so much sense. The thing with the Epstein thing is that I've always said for kind of a few years now about it is there's so like people can't comprehend. There's so many people involved in this. That's why something like this would be quite easy to pull off, because there's so many people involved, and that's why it's never going to come out. It's just literally like if people knew, honestly, and I just can't see how it could ever come out, because there's just so fucking many people up at the top in the elites in the hierarchy, whether it's from Hollywood through to politics, whatever, who are connected and involved. It's just the fucking mate. Honestly, it's never going to be. But now no one's thinking about it anyway, because there's war in Iran. So there we go.
So anyway, the optimal preservation window of a body at between 2 and 4 degrees. Is that 2 to 4 degrees? This is a fridge temperature. Is 4 weeks, but you could, okay, that's optimal apparently. But then freezing, you can keep them for much longer. Sophisticated body swap. Yeah, Tony Rodham passed away June 7, 2019. Jeffrey Epstein was arrested on July the 6th, and then he found dead on August the 10th. So 2 months later. It's very effed up, man. But yeah, I mean, you can't see the pictures I've got here of the body, but it's not particularly gory. I mean, it's not particularly gory, but the nose is not the same. The ears are not the same, and you can.
So when you say there's a picture of it, what's it? Is it sort of the camera pointing down at the whole torso, or just the face?
There's quite a few pictures. There's one of him on a gurney laid out, with his head and his body. There's one of them was taken of his face and his ear and his nose, and the key things are the nose and ears. You can't suddenly your nose doesn't change shape, your ears don't change shape, But this was something that we did way back on David Icke from years and years ago. We discussed this way back when it first happened. It wasn't me who someone posted this footage, the picture of him on the gurney, and we said that's not Epstein. It's not him. Very crazy, dark hole, man.
Yeah, and it's just.
Oh yeah, but there's not only that. There's actually. Oh yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go for it. I was just basically going to say about how there's just no end in sight to it, just because it's just so many, like I said, there's so many people involved. We're just not going to ever get to the, well, not for, I don't know. I don't think we'll ever get to the bottom of it. Just the sheer volume of things that must have happened is kind of crazy, and the sheer number of people involved. But yeah, anyway, sorry, go on.
No, I've just remembered something, and I didn't. I meant to take the article, but I forgot. But I think Asmongold reported on this recently that actually Jeffrey Epstein was a big gamer, and he was also involved in the creation of 4chan and various things. He was big into gaming, and apparently a few of his gaming accounts show that he's still active and still playing video games.
Yeah, it's a solid story.
I know I had the full details, but I was getting to grips with the stream and I lost it. But yeah,
I remember reading that story though. But don't you think to yourself, like, surely he wouldn't? You know?
Why would he care? He's in Israel now, or he's safe enough. No one's. I mean, it's like all them PDF files who are living at large in Israel now, escaping American justice, going to Israel, and they're all going to look after each other, aren't they? It's like no one's going to. I mean, to be honest, if you think Epstein had a job to deliberately blackmail and control media and politicians in order for the benefit of a certain Middle Eastern country, then he's a hero in a sense. I don't know. I mean, it's just a hypothesis, but there's always that. They say he worked for the Rothschilds, in fact, but.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's just the crazy.
Yeah, this all came out with the Epstein files, literally. Yeah. I think his Fortnite account was still active and such, but yeah. Anyway, I may perhaps next week we can bring that up and look into that.
I mean, it's just fascinating, the idea. But I just kind of think, I know what you're saying, like, why would he care now? But I'm also thinking, surely it would just be. It's not that difficult just to do a new account. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
but he's got all his loot and his XP points or whatever it is. He's got his kills. It's like. One of those things, right?
It's a mad juxtaposition, isn't it? To think about all the stuff he's done and then like to juxtapose.
And he's got his chutzpah as well. This guy, I mean, he just thrived on chutzpah and bravado and bare-faced cheek, and that's how he got what he. He was a bullshitter, and he succeeded in a terrible way and was bullshitting everyone. He claimed to be like a clone, a genetic scientist and such, but he wasn't a scientist. He was just a maths teacher or something, right? And he suddenly accessed all this money and wealth and power. He wasn't even claimed to be a financial expert, but he wasn't that either. But he had connections and he was backed with a lot of money. I mean, no one knows where he got all his money from. Billions, so whatever.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, there's kind of like a bit of a question mark over that, isn't it? It's like it's a strange one how he became so rich. Well, we can kind of maybe take a guess, but like it's strange. Yeah, it was never really kind of clear because I didn't even know he was a maths teacher, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Okay, so what should we wrap it up then? And
yeah, man, I got to head off.
Let's wrap it up. Yeah,
it's been fun, man. I guess 2 hours gone quick.
Yeah, it's been good to get back into it, and we'll think about next week. What day should we do next week?
Saturday should still be good next week, I think. Yeah. Oh yeah, Saturday's fine next week. Yeah, Saturday night's fine next week for me.
All right, cool. Well, okay, my flipping
we'll chat later about some pieces for it. Let's do a bit of maybe some astrophysics stuff, some interesting universe stuff.
Yeah. All right, shall we sign off and wish everyone good night?
But good to see. Did you see in the chat? Did you see where Dolls Dance Dollhouse appeared in the chat?
Yeah, right. Okay, cool. I haven't looked at that.
But yeah, so that's someone who used to come in and listen to us when we were doing the show previously, where Dolls Dance.
I think we got spammed. What's that?
We got spammed by a few people, but where Dolls Dance is.
Hey man, listen. At least we're getting spammed. At least it's something, right? I'd take spam over a fucking crickets.
Well, it pads it out. It pads it out for sure. But yeah, cheers, man. No, it's been fun.
Oh yeah, we got some comments from where Dolls Dance, which is really cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, so because remember they were from before.
Yeah, nice one, brilliant. Well, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Nice one, and we'll be back next week, eh?
Yeah, man. All right, cool. Have a good evening. Yeah.
All right, we'll just end the stream and say good night then. Yeah. All right. So.
All right.
We don't. Oh man, I didn't set out the outro music. I'll have to do it next week. Remember, we used to have an outro Yeah, next time.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'll probably just play a track, to be honest, so we've got like some kind of music to
Okay.
see us off.
All right.
All right, mate. Take care, and see you all next week. Pretty same
Cheers.
time, yeah.
In a
Awesome.
bit.
All right.
Bye.